All right, strap in, everyone. We're diving headfirst into Bigfoot territory.
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
it's a mystery that just won't quit. It really captures the imagination.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Got these stories, these blurry photos, those massive footprints.
Right.
And it's like, what is going on? So what we're going to do in this deep dive is unpack some of the most famous encounters, those moments that kind of define the Bigfoot legend.
Yeah, dig into those and see if we can make sense of it.
Exactly. By the end, you might be looking over your shoulder in the woods. Who knows?
Well, it's fascinating how this whole thing works, right? You have zero hard scientific proof.
Right.
But then you hear these stories.
Oh, yeah.
These eyewitness accounts, these encounters, and it's like, wait a minute.
You can't just dismiss them.
You can't just dismiss them.
Exactly. It's like a puzzle with pieces that just don't quite fit, but you can't stop looking at it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And speaking of puzzles, we got to start with one of the biggest pieces in this whole thing. The Patterson-Gimlin film.
Oh, yeah.
1967.
That's the big one.
Bluff Creek, California.
Deep in the woods.
Deep in the woods.
Yeah.
Picture this. This grainy footage. You see this large, hairy figure just striding across a clearing.
Just walking along like it's no big deal.
It's like, hey, what's up?
Right. And you've got the camera right there.
Yeah, like, don't mind me, just passing through.
Yeah.
This footage, I mean, it's been analyzed to death, right?
Oh, yeah. Debated.
Dissected.
Decades. People have been looking at this, trying to figure out, is it a hoax?
Right.
Is it a guy in a suit? Or is it the real deal?
Right. We might not have a definitive answer.
You might not.
But the Patterson-Gimlin film, it really launched Bigfoot into the public consciousness, right?
It did. It was like, boom, Bigfoot's on the map.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, let's move from the visual, kind of blurry world of film to something that's less about seeing.
Okay.
And more about, I don't know, feeling it in your gut.
I'm intrigued.
The Ape Canyon incident.
Oh, yeah.
1924. Mount St. Helens.
Volcano country.
Volcano country. A group of miners, right?
Yeah.
They claimed they were under siege by these creatures, throwing rocks down at them from the cliffs.
I mean, can you imagine? You're just trying to do your job.
You're just trying to work.
And suddenly you got rocks raining down on you from these who knows what creatures.
And they were convinced, these miners, that it was Bigfoot.
It's a wild story, right?
It is wild, right?
Almost like folklore at this point.
Yeah, it's like even if some details got exaggerated over time, the fact that it stuck with us for so long.
Yeah. Why does it stick around?
It says something about us, doesn't it? It's like this primal fear of the unknown, the things that are hiding out there in the dark.
Yeah, what's lurking just beyond what we can see?
Right. Okay, from dramatic attacks,
Okay.
let's shift gears to something, I guess, a little more tangible.
Right.
Footprints.
Footprints, yeah.
1958.
Okay.
Huge, human-like tracks. Bluff Creek. Again.
Bluff Creek again. What's going on in Bluff Creek?
It's like Bigfoot Central.
Right.
These footprints, they suggested a creature walking upright, way bigger than any human, any known primate.
Yeah, like way off the chart.
Yeah, this is where the science comes in, right? Some researchers, they looked at these prints trying to figure out, are they real?
Were they faked? Were they made up?
Right. Or are they a sign, a trace of something truly extraordinary?
Yeah, a real clue.
So Bluff Creek footprints, they're almost as legendary as that Patterson-Gimlin film.
They really are two big pillars of the Bigfoot mythos.
But it's not just about Bluff Creek, right?
Right.
Fast forward to the 1970s, you've got a family camping in the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Okay, another beautiful spot.
Beautiful remote. And they reported this terrifying experience.
Oh, no.
Large, shadowy figures, unsettling noises.
Creepy.
And of course, what do they find?
Footprints, I bet.
Massive footprints near their campsite.
Of course.
What's interesting here is that shift, right? You go from the physical evidence of the footprints to these very personal, very emotional, often very scared accounts.
Right. It's like a whole different kind of evidence.
It adds this whole other layer to the Bigfoot phenomenon.
It does. It's not just about physical proof anymore.
It's about the human experience, right?
It's about how these encounters make people feel, what they believe, how it shapes their understanding of the world.
And that's what makes it so fascinating, right? It's this blend of, like you said, tangible evidence and these incredibly personal narratives.
And they feed each other, you know?
Yeah.
The more stories you hear, the more you look for the physical evidence.
Uh-huh.
And the more footprints you find, the more you wonder who made them, what their story is.
It's like a never-ending cycle of mystery.
Exactly. And that's what we call the Bigfoot mythos, right? This complex, sometimes contradictory, always intriguing tapestry of stories and evidence.
And the more we try to define it,
Yeah.
the more it slips away, right?
It's slippery.
But here's the thing. Bigfoot's not just hanging out in the Pacific Northwest, you know?
Oh no! He's branching out!
This creature, or at least the stories about it, they pop up in the most unexpected places.
Really? Like where?
It's like Bigfoot has a travel bug or something.
A Bigfoot travel bug. I love that.
Well, you know, it makes you think, right? Why does this legend have such staying power?
Why does it keep coming back?
Why does it keep showing up in different locations in different forms?
Well, you know, that's the beauty of it, and maybe the frustration too, right?
Yeah.
The Bigfoot phenomenon, it doesn't give you easy answers.
It doesn't.
But isn't that what makes it so interesting?
I think so.
It forces us to question what we think we know, to push the boundaries of our understanding.
That's like a challenge, right? To our logic, to our science, to our sense of what's possible.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for.
That's
right?
what we're here for.
To dig into those questions, to explore those gray areas.
All right, where science and folklore collide.
Exactly, where things get blurry and exciting.
Before we move on to the next part of our Bigfoot journey, I'm curious, have you been surprised by anything so far?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every time I think I've got a handle on this Bigfoot thing, some new story pops up.
Right.
Some new detail that throws me for a loop.
And we're just getting started.
You know, it's funny how technology has almost become like this key player in this whole Bigfoot story.
It really has, hasn't it? It's like, on one hand, you've got these incredible advancements, right? High-definition cameras,
Right.
thermal imaging.
Yeah, stuff we could only dream of a few decades ago.
You'd think that would make it easier to finally capture that.
Right. The smoking gun.
The undeniable proof, right?
Yeah.
But then you realize those same tools can be used to create
Yeah.
hoaxes,
Oh, absolutely.
really convincing ones.
It's like this arms race almost.
It's a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, exactly.
What's real, what's fake? The lines get blurrier and blurrier.
And that just feeds into this whole,
Yeah.
skepticism versus belief thing.
Because even with all our science, all our fancy gadgets, that clear, irrefutable image of Bigfoot,
It's still out there somewhere.
it's still out there, right? So it just keeps the mystery alive.
Keeps us guessing.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit.
All right.
Let's focus on the human side of this.
Okay, the people.
The people who claim to have encountered Bigfoot. What are some of the things that come up again and again in their stories? What details, keep popping up regardless of where or when it happened?
Well, one of the big ones is Bigfoot's strength, and just
Yeah, like raw.
agility too.
Oh, yeah.
Witnesses describe it as moving with this surprising speed and stealth, especially for a creature its size, supposedly.
Right.
It's almost like it can
It's a peep.
melt into the forest, like it was never even there.
Makes you wonder.
It does.
If any of this is true, how much do we really know
Right.
about the creatures that are out there?
Yeah. What else is out there?
Right. What secrets are still hidden?
Oh, tons, I'm sure. And another thing you hear a lot about is the sounds.
The sounds.
Yeah, vocalizations.
What kind of sounds?
Howls, screams, whoops.
Whoa, okay.
Some people even describe it as a kind of,
Language?
like a language or communication.
Okay, that's getting a little creepy.
Imagine, right, you're out in the woods.
Yeah.
You hear these sounds echoing through the trees.
Oh, no thank you.
Gives you chills, right?
It's one thing to see a blurry figure
Yeah.
or a footprint, but to hear these things communicating
Like they're talking to each other.
in ways we don't understand.
Who knows what they're saying?
Yeah, that adds a whole other layer of mystery.
Definitely.
And maybe a little bit of fear, to be honest.
Well, yeah, it's that mix, right?
Yeah.
Of the familiar, like the sounds of the forest, the wind, the animals.
Uh-huh.
But then there's this
Something else.
something else, alien. Alien, yeah. Something that hints at this intelligence that's beyond us.
Wow, okay.
Taps into that primal part of our brains,
Like we're not at the top of the food chain anymore.
Exactly.
We've talked about Boggy Creek,
Right, the movies.
but Bigfoot is everywhere in pop culture.
Oh, yeah, documentaries,
TV shows,
reality shows.
even comedies, right?
Yep, Bigfoot's a star.
It's like Bigfoot was made for the big screen.
In a way. Yeah.
But getting back to these sightings, it really makes you wonder, why does this legend have such staying power? Why does it keep popping up?
Well, I think it speaks to something deeper. It's not just about the creature itself.
What is it about then?
It's about our need to believe, I think.
To believe in what?
In something beyond the ordinary.
Okay.
Something mysterious, something wild.
Like a connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Maybe, yeah. It's like this yearning for a world that's still full of surprises.
I like that. It's like we've lost touch with that wildness,
Yeah.
with the untamed parts of nature.
And Bigfoot embodies that, right? He's
Ah.
the symbol of the untamed, the unknown.
But it also raises some questions, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like, what does Bigfoot actually represent to us? Is it just a creature? Or is it something more?
That's a great question. I mean, for some people, Bigfoot might represent our connection to nature,
Okay.
A reminder that there are still wild places out there, undiscovered creatures.
Right.
For others, it might be more about the unknown, the things that go bump in the night.
Like our fears, maybe.
Yeah, our fears, anxieties about the world.
It's like we're projecting all that onto this powerful, mysterious figure.
It's a safe way to confront those fears, maybe.
Interesting. So it's not just about finding Bigfoot.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's about understanding what its existence, real or imagined, tells us about ourselves.
Exactly. About our place in the world, about the limits of what we know.
And speaking of limits, there's a whole other side of this.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The ethical implications.
Right.
If this being is real, if it's intelligent, maybe even sentient, what responsibility do we have towards it?
That's a huge question.
Yeah.
And one that doesn't get asked enough, I think.
It's like we get so caught up in the search, the thrill of the hunt,
Chase, yeah.
that we forget about
Yeah.
the potential consequences.
If Bigfoot is real, it means there's this highly intelligent being out there that we've been ignoring, or worse, hunting.
It challenges how we view ourselves, right?
Yeah, completely. It forces us to reevaluate our relationship with other species, especially the ones we don't understand.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
It is. Finding Bigfoot wouldn't just be a scientific breakthrough.
It would be something bigger.
It would be a moral challenge.
Wow. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
We still haven't proven that Bigfoot exists.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, to be fair, we should look at some of the more, grounded explanations for these sightings.
Exactly, the skeptic side of things.
Exactly. What are the skeptics saying?
Well, misidentification is a big one.
Misidentification.
Yeah, people might be mistaking bears, for example, for Bigfoot.
Bears.
Especially big bears standing on their hind legs.
Oh, I can see that.
Especially in the woods at dusk when it's getting dark.
Yeah.
Easy to see how shadows in your imagination could play tricks on you.
Right. Your heart's racing. You're scared.
Adrenaline's pumping.
Makes sense.
What else?
Hoaxes, of course.
Right. People love a good hoax.
People faking footprints, wearing costumes,
For attention.
for fame, for money, or just for kicks.
I guess you can't underestimate the power of a good story.
A good story can go a long way.
Especially in the age of social media.
Oh, yeah. Things spread like wildfire online.
But even if some of these sightings are hoaxes or misidentifications, there's still those accounts that just don't fit neatly into those categories.
Right. The ones that keep us scratching our heads.
So what about those? What's going on there?
Well, some researchers think it might be
Psychological.
Yeah, like pareidolia.
Pareidolia. What's that? It's our tendency to see patterns in random things.
Like seeing faces in clouds.
Exactly. Or a monster in the shadows.
So our brains are kind of making things up.
In a way, yeah. We're wired to look for patterns.
Makes sense.
And sometimes that leads us to see things that aren't really there.
So even if Bigfoot isn't out there learning about these alternative explanations,
Yeah,
it can teach us something about ourselves,
absolutely. About how we perceive the world.
how our brains work.
How easily we can be fooled by our own senses.
It's a good reminder to be critical, right?
Oh, yeah. To
Yeah.
question what we see and hear.
To consider different perspectives.
Don't jump to conclusions.
Because even if Bigfoot turns out to be a myth,
Yeah.
all of this, the stories, the debates, the search
It all points to something deeper.
about our nature, our curiosity.
Our fascination with the unknown.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so rewarding, right?
It's not about finding all the answers.
It's about exploring the questions.
Yeah, embracing the mystery.
Acknowledging that there are things out there we just don't understand.
And that's a pretty exciting thought, isn't it?
It is. It means the world is still full of wonder.
Full of possibilities.
Who knows what we might find if we just keep our minds open.
Keep looking, keep listening.
Exactly.
Speaking of discoveries, I think it's time we moved on to the final chapter of our Bigfoot investigation.
Oh, already.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It does. Okay. I'm ready if you are.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone deep into the woods, examined the evidence, or I guess the lack of evidence.
Right. The blurry photos, the mysterious footprints, those chilling encounters.
We even talked about, like, the ethics of encountering Bigfoot.
If we ever do find him, yeah, what then? It raises a lot of questions.
It does. It does. But now it's time to step back, look at everything we've gathered,
Right. Take stock of our Bigfoot expedition.
and see if we can make any sense of it.
Exactly. So, starting with that Patterson-Gimlin film,
Oh, yeah, that iconic footage.
to those stories about the Ape Canyon attack, we've really gone through it all.
Footprints, eyewitness accounts. We even talked about how Bigfoot's become this, like,
Pop culture icon.
yeah, it's everywhere. Movies, TV shows, even comedies.
It seems like Bigfoot's got a pretty good agent.
He does. He does. But even after all this, after all the searching, all the investigating,
Uh-huh.
that one piece of proof, that undeniable evidence,
The smoking gun.
it's still missing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's elusive.
So what do we do with that? Do we just throw up our hands and say it's all hoaxes, myth identifications, overactive imaginations?
I don't think so. I mean, those are all possibilities. We've talked about that.
We have.
But just because we haven't found that definitive proof
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's not out there.
Absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence, right?
Exactly. It just means there are still mysteries in the world.
Which is kind of cool when you think about it.
It is.
Yeah, there's still stuff to discover, things we don't know.
And that sense of wonder, that's important.
It is. It's what keeps things interesting.
It keeps us asking questions.
So, who knows? Maybe one day that proof will turn up.
Yeah, maybe a clear photo, a DNA sample.
Or even just an encounter that can't be explained away.
Right. That would change everything.
Until then, the Bigfoot legend, it's going to keep intriguing us, challenging our beliefs, making us wonder.
And that's the power of a good mystery, isn't it?
It is. So after this deep dive, after everything we've explored, the question remains, what do you believe?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Is Bigfoot real? Is it all in our heads? Or is it something else entirely? We've given you the facts, the stories, the different perspectives.
Now it's up to you to decide.
What do you think? And hey, we want to hear from you. Share your Bigfoot theories, your personal experiences, even just your favorite campfire stories about mysterious creatures. Because this deep dive has been about more than just Bigfoot.
It's been about the power of stories, the allure of the unknown.
And that human fascination with the things that go bump in the night.
So keep exploring, keep wondering, keep that sense of curiosity alive.
Because who knows what you might discover.